Flag on the play if you're not subscribed to VonAllen Sports. But once you are, we'll make it up to your team in the fourth quarter. You're watching VonAllen Sports, real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now and join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go.
VonAllen Sports. VonAllen Sports.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing? Let's see here. I was just trying to... Yeah, never mind. I give up on this. This phone thing, trying to transfer the images. But I did go live at the show, so I guess it doesn't really make a difference. Okay. What are you guys up to? Who's here right now? Let's see. Okay. Let's see. The first one here was Satire Junk. Just can't believe the season's almost over. Let's see. Tyler Belcher says, let's go. Brian Magnum, what's up, man? Israel says, oh, hey, Aaron, I've been stranded in Florida after my flights back home to Texas got canceled on Sunday. I'm supposed to leave tomorrow, but nothing is promised. Fingers crossed. Southwest Airlines sucks, is what he says. Well, I can tell you, had I had known that you were going, I could have warned you that Southwest Airlines is the worst airline that has ever existed in the history of humanity. And I refused to fly Southwest ever since when I was 15 years old. They left me stranded in an airport and in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I was trying to get to Dallas. And they didn't seem to care that if I didn't get on this plane, that a teenager is going to have to spend the night in Little Rock Airport alone. Okay. So, and not just any teenager, a very young teenager. It's not like I was 19 or something, or 18 or 19. I'd never done this before. I'd never been on an airplane in my life at that time when I was doing this. And the Southwest, I got in line and the line was big. What happened is they overbooked our flight and there was too many people in line waiting for a seat. And I told the lady that, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. Where do I go? And she goes, well, we overbooked it and I'm sorry, but you're at the back of the line. So you're going to have to make other arrangements or wait or whatever. They did not care at all that they did this. There was no, of course, this was like 1995 or 96 or something like that. So it's not like it is today where they owe vouchers and they have to people can go on Yelp and complain and all this stuff. It wasn't like that back then. Companies could just do whatever they wanted to almost, and there was no repercussions. And I was freaking out, and I didn't have a cell phone, of course, because it's 1996, right? So I walked up, I was panicking, and I was like, I can't stay here all night. I don't know what that means. And so I went to Delta and different airlines, American Airlines. So the first one I think I checked was American, and there was no one at the desk, and no one came there because it was in the late at night. And so I went to Delta, and there was a woman at Delta, and I told her what happened, and she immediately put me on a flight. Delta paid for it, so Delta got me to Dallas, and they seemed very upset and like, this is ridiculous. This kid has been abandoned here. So I swore to never use Southwest ever again, and they just suck. There was a few times in my life since then that I've had to be on Southwest because maybe somebody else ordered it or whatever, and it didn't go well. I've never had a good experience with them. They're the worst company ever. But after that, Delta got my loyalty. Okay, so any companies out there, remember that woman's one night of kindness and Delta's kindness to pay for my flight to get me to Dallas. made me a loyal customer the rest of my life. So sorry about that, Israel. Same thing happened to me, or not same thing, but I mean something similar as far as like the airline problem on the way back here. So the reason I couldn't do the show last night, I was hoping to be on time, home in time to do the show. The reason I couldn't is because our flight got rerouted to Ontario, not Canada, but Ontario, California, which is about 40 miles east of Los Angeles. And the reason is because it started raining here, and we had a big one of those giant planes instead of the smaller passenger planes. And I was supposed to go to Burbank because I don't like going to LAX. LAX is a hellhole. But go to Burbank, and they couldn't land there with the raining, and the runway's too short for a plane that big. They could do it if it wasn't raining, but it wasn't. So for safety reasons, they took us to Ontario, and then I had to get a Uber from Ontario to home. So it took, like, the whole ordeal added an extra hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. So that's why we're doing the show tonight. But yeah, it's funny though, because my incident last night had nothing to do with the storms and the reason that everything's happening. But Southwest is the most affected by this. Southwest is the one causing all the problems. So there's this weird reputation that Southwest is somehow cheaper or better price. And this reputation comes from back in those days, 20 years ago, where they were the cheaper. They were always the cheaper price. Things have changed since then. They most certainly aren't always the cheapest. Okay, but they do a very good job at advertising, and they've got the reputation for being the discount airliner. But it's not. My flight here, my flight there to Phoenix and back that I just went was much cheaper than Southwest, and much better, much more professional. So Israel, I hope you're okay, dude. Well, bloody pleb. He's stuck in Florida, but he lives in Texas. So they're both free states. Although Florida's probably the best state. Well, no, not probably. Florida is the best state in the country right now. Easily. There's nothing worse than having to wait in an airport and wonder what's going on and be herded up like cattle. It sucks. It really does suck. Yes, Israel, next time ask me for flight recommendations. You should have known that by now. Didn't you know that I'm all-knowing? Didn't you know that I know everything? I know everything about flight recommendations. I know if you want to pass your chemistry class, I'm your man. I mean, I am just a fountain of information. So why didn't you know, right? God. Well, so week 16 was interesting. A lot of things have happened. So first of all, Denver Broncos fired Nathaniel Hackett, which is, I would like to know why Nathaniel Hackett gets fired, but Todd Bowles doesn't. Okay? DC 452 says VAS the omniscient. Of course, I hope you guys know I was joking, but yeah. So how does Todd Bowles still have a job? And don't tell me it's because they're still in the hunt to win the division. Okay, that's not a good argument. All right, if this was any other year, the division would be won already by somebody else with a winning record. It wouldn't even be close. That's the problem with this. And you are the owner of the Bucs, okay? You're worth billions, okay? So some head coach's contract is not going to matter that much while you still have Tom Brady and you have all those good players under contract. Jason Light, the general manager, did a really good job of keeping everybody under the cap all these years. And you can't waste that. And you clearly see that the number one problem for your team is the coaching. It's obvious. And you can't say, oh, well, maybe it'll get better next year. Really? It's going to get better next year when you lose Tom Brady and this idiot is still coaching? I mean, Tom Brady has more football knowledge in his left testicle than Todd Bowles probably has in his entire brain. And you think that you're going to upgrade and somehow be better for it next year, you know? It shows you that the ownership of the Bucs is not very intelligent, actually. And they really had nothing to do with any of this and any of the successes, because you don't give a guy like Todd Bowles, who had a failure at the Jets, you do not give him a long contract. You don't give him that kind of commitment. You just don't do it. You know, I would have, because Todd had failed in New York, I would have given him like a 2 to 3 year deal, and with an option to extend, and maybe it even gets better if he's doing good. The extension is much more per year, you know, and maybe that's agreed upon in the contract that if he's got a certain record or a certain amount of wins or a certain amount of playoff appearances, then it balloons up or something. But certainly I would not have given that much. And if he's not happy with that, then we go somewhere else. But they didn't even interview anybody else. So it's not like he didn't even know he got the job. Okay. So he gets a phone call from Bruce Arians and says, hey, I told you I'd come through for you, or something along those lines. So it was just handed to Todd. They didn't interview. They didn't look around. They didn't try to find a better fit or somebody who would work out. But whatever. But if they're thinking, if the money is not that much to them, okay, the coach doesn't count against the cap. So they can pay a coach whatever they want. It's not that much. It's not that much in comparison to what you would make if you got another Super Bowl. Okay, you make a ton of money. The merchandise you sell, the ticket sales, the next year's ticket sales would be, insane. And of course, you get extra TV money from the NFL for winning the Super Bowl. You also get actually straight up paid for winning the Super Bowl. There's just so much more. So much more. Your team gets better exposure. Your team starts to get on primetime games more, where you, again, get more money from that and more exposure. But that's all gone, The winning the Super Bowls would outweigh anything you're paying the coach. I can tell you that much. So fire his ass. Fire his ass. You'll get that money back. Bring in a better coach, Bring in a better coach and get a better deal this time, So, or if you want to, you have to keep paying him anyway to see if he's willing to go back to defensive coordinator. Bring in a guy who's actually technically, if you don't want to take his title away from him, bring in a guy who's technically the assistant. Call him the assistant head coach, and there you go. Do what the Broncos did. So here's what the Broncos did. Okay, guys. So they brought this guy in. After the season already started this year. I don't know if you guys remember this. But they brought this guy in. I can't remember his name. But his job was to bring it and help them with clock management. And yeah, because that was the only problem with Denver, right? But this guy comes in and they give him the title of assistant head coach. This is exactly what I was suggesting before that happened for the Tampa Bay Bucs. But they bring in this guy, give him the title of assistant head coach, right? The ownership of the Broncos, the Waltons, met this guy at the airport, gave him a hug, all this stuff, and was all excited about him. Ownership doesn't do that for an assistant head coach. There was clearly something about this that they had in mind, okay? And now we know. Nathaniel Hackett was fired, and they made that guy the head coach. Okay, so they didn't promote an already existing coordinator or somebody within the ranks. They didn't want anyone to do or connected to Nathaniel Hackett. They wanted an outsider. And so they slid him in as coach, before the season even starts. And it's very rare to fire a first-year head coach in season. I think it's only happened 5 times, something like that. So it's it was the right move, but the Broncos ownership knew that this was going to have to happen, and they're going to have to pay Nathaniel Hackett for X amount of years or X amount of dollars, but it didn't matter to them. They want to win. They want to get this going. They just bought the team. They're excited. That was the ownership was taking the initiative and saying, this can't happen. We just paid Russell Wilson. There's no way Russell Wilson can be this bad. There's no way Russell Wilson forgot how to play football. And I just don't, cannot believe that it's all Russell's fault. Now, there's a lot of blame to go around, but you don't flip-flop and go from being an MVP conversation the first half of the year every single year and all of a sudden be the worst quarterback in the NFL. That's just, there's something more to that. It's got to be the coaching fit. And they apparently, we didn't see Russell Russell Wilson is an improvisation quarterback, okay? He runs around, he does crazy things, he makes things happen, he throws the deep ball and all this stuff. This was not implemented. Just like this year with Tom. What is the coaches doing that doesn't make any sense? No play action, okay? When clearly the statistics bear that out. I don't want to hear, but Aaron, they have no running game, and without a running game, you have no play action. That is absolutely false, okay? There is no correlation between having a good running game or a bad running game and whether or not play action will work. I have seen people make this argument. It is absolutely idiotic, okay? The play action is to make the defense react, and they are human, and they are always going to react to that instinct to go after the running back and come in instead of going and being out in coverage. That is going to happen. There's always somebody that's going to bite on that. And all it takes is one guy to bite on it, and you end up with an open man, okay? You end up with an opportunity. That's why it works. You don't have to have a good running game for a play action to work. It's just not the case, okay? I'll go to a court of law. I'll argue this, okay? Now, no huddle. They're one of the best no-huddle teams in the league. Tom Brady's one of the best no-huddle quarterbacks in the league this year. Okay, obviously he's probably the best no-huddle quarterback ever. But him and Peyton, I'd say, they're two of the best ever, right? But this year, this atrocious bad year, Tom is one of the best no-huddle quarterbacks. Now, but Aaron, they can't do no-huddle the whole game. No shit. I know that. Okay? Just like you also have to run the ball, even if your running game sucks. You can't just pass the whole game. And that's another mistake they're making. They're throwing it too much. And then when they call a run play, they call it on the wrong down. And Leonard runs the wrong way. And they block the wrong way. And they don't understand the angles of the game. It's like, this is coaching, guys. These are fundamentals. This is just stuff that has to be coached all the time. It has to be put into your head. Okay? So... coming up. They're not doing those things. The coaches are not putting the offense in a position to win. Maybe you can't go no huddle the whole game. No one's asking for that. We're asking for stop just going no huddle because the team sucks and you need Tom to do something miraculous in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Why can't you start the game in no huddle? Why can't you get off to a 7-0 start like a lot of these other teams have been getting up on the Bucs? Why don't you do that? Of course, those other teams are doing it because they're good at scripting the first 15 plays. But that getting up in 7-0, that's a great thing. Why are you always playing from behind? That's the problem we have here. But that's coaching. That's putting your guys in the wrong position. Do you guys think that Tom Brady forgot how to play football?
Yeah, Dave.
No. He doesn't trust his offensive line. He doesn't trust them. Okay?
Yeah,
so
Dave.
you see him reacting.
Yeah,
Well, you see
Dave.
him reacting to the throws or to the
Yeah,
the
Dave.
defense. And so he throws it
Yeah, Dave.
quickly and sometimes erratically because he doesn't trust them.
Yeah,
A
Dave.
quarterback cannot stand in the pocket and make a good throw if they don't
Yeah,
trust the
Dave.
guys around them.
Yeah,
Okay?
Dave.
Tom didn't all of a sudden just
Yeah, Dave.
become squeamish and not be able to take
Yeah,
a football
Dave.
hit. All right, he didn't just wake up the next day and I can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
I can't
Dave.
play like this anymore. It's not how his brain
Yeah,
works. It's not who he is, and it's not even logical actually.
Yeah,
Now,
Dave.
if he had a major injury
Yeah, Dave.
and that's what he was coming back from,
Dave. Dave.
then I would say I'm with you. Okay, I'll get Chelsea with Chelsea real quick, guys, in a second. Are you telling me this entire time my audio's a problem and you've not told me this?
I don't know if it's the whole time.
Do you still hear it?
You have to talk to see. Testing.
Do you still hear it? What was it that you were hearing, guys? Hello? Check. Okay. So that's working. I was just checking the loop back the software here. You heard a laugh. Nobody was laughing. Yeah, Dave? Some guy was saying, yeah, Dave? What the hell does that even mean? A loop. Okay, but it's gone now, right? All right. Let's It's strange. Okay. I lost my train of thought, so I'll just get to these. I need a producer. All right.
You have to listen the whole time. I can't do that if I'm here.
Maybe after the first comment that says something's wrong, that's probably a clue. Okay. Ozymandias, member for 13 months, sends a... There it is. Okay. Ozymandias, celebrating 13 months of membership, sends a membership super chat. Says, too much to replace coach with Sean Payton and hire talented players to give Brady help for a couple of years before he goes to Fox Sports News. Well, I actually said faux sports news. So I'm assuming. Are you talking about Tampa? Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about Tampa. Okay, so to replace the Bucs, to replace Todd Bowles with Sean Payton, whoever gets Sean Payton is going to have to give up a lot. Okay, and that's going to kind of minimize the idea to be going for a Super Bowl immediately. In some cases, it just depends on. It depends on what New Orleans is going to want. If they're going to want certain players, it depends on which players. If they're going to want money, that would be fantastic because you could just pay them money, pay them cash to get Sean Payton. There's no way they'll want only money. Probably, I don't even know if that's possible to only give money for a coach, but. Cash was exchanged for John Gruden when he went from the Raiders to the Bucs, among other things, but cash is included. I think cash is included also with Bill Belichick when the Patriots got Belichick from the Jets. So it would depend on what they have to give up and if the immediate impact. Now, if the Bucs can say, hey, New Orleans, we'll give you first-round picks, but we'll give them to you first-round picks for the 2024, 2025 draft. Why would the Saints do that? Why would the Saints do that? Like, that's a division rival. And yeah, we're gonna make it to where you're not even affected by this until later on. That would be completely idiotic for the Saints to do. I don't think they would ever do that. So you're right. It's too much. It's too much to replace him with Peyton. And also, some of these Bucs players, they need to be replaced. Staying in Tampa Bay is not an option for Tom, okay? And it's just not. And the reason is because these players are weak-willed and weak-minded. Godwin may most likely will have to be moved at some point. Probably traded next year so they get some value out of him. And Mike Evans is a weak man, a weak-minded person. He is a type of person that if they see any adversity, any kind of pushback of any kind, their brain shuts down. Okay? And it sucks, but that's what we see. He's got no passion, no fight in him. The moment somebody even gets near him, he'll throw his hands up. Now, that worked one time. It worked one time at the end of a game recently, but for the most of the season, it's caused problems. Now, I was at the Bucs Cardinals game, and I was able... When you're there live, you can see certain angles of things. You can see things a bit differently than they are on TV. And then you can follow the players and watch their body language as they walk off the field. And I was looking for that. I was watching Mike and how he is. He's checked out, dude. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's just collecting a paycheck. He just wants his, in his mind, he's like, I just want my 1,000 yards per year. If I can get that, I'll be happy, kind of thing. And that's all. He's not fighting and all this stuff. And I saw a crack in Mike Evans' demeanor and how he is in the 2020 season. I saw it in the Super Bowl when he wasn't scoring. And he seemed to kind of have a different, demeanor than the other guys did. And it's all about him. It reminds me of when Brett Favre won the Super Bowl against the Patriots in '96. I remember observing Brett and watching him, and then on the podium, he wasn't very happy. And the reason he wasn't happy is because he wasn't Super Bowl MVP. That bothered him. So his personal performance and he didn't feel like he was being appreciated for his direct contribution to the Super Bowl. And some guys just have that in them. They can't just be unhappy with just winning. They can't, even if they're not the guy that's in it. You can't be like that. You can't think that way. Now, Mike was definitely a contributor to that Super Bowl victory, but he doesn't think he is, and he doesn't feel like he was, and you could kind of see that on him. But at that game Sunday night, he didn't care. His body language was terrible. It's just, he's weak, dude. Anytime a Cardinal would touch him. By the way, he ran the wrong route twice. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he ran the wrong route twice. And one of them resulted in an interception. And another resulted, it would have been a touchdown if he had done it correctly. So, you can be a good player. You can be a great player. But it doesn't mean you're good for that situation. Okay? Randy Moss is a great player. The freakishly ridiculous wide receiver I've ever seen. But he was also lazy. Okay? He was lazy. He was difficult. And he only played when he felt like it. And then you have a guy that's like Terrell Owens, who is not as athletically gifted in the sense of being a wide receiver, in the sense of, going deep and things like that, as Randy. But Terrell made up for it with work ethic. Give me a guy with work ethic. Give me a guy that is a grinder before you give me the most talented guy who's a bit lazy and weak-minded. I'm not saying Randy was weak-minded. I'm referring to Mike, but I'm just saying that I don't care about that stuff. People, I get asked this a lot. I even got asked this the other day. Wes Welker or Julian Edelman? And a lot of people say, oh, Wes Welker, he's got the numbers and all that stuff. I don't give a shit. It's Julian Edelman. It's Julian Edelman by a mile. Okay? Why? Why is it Edelman? Is Edelman as naturally gifted as a receiver as Wes Welker? Does he run the routes exactly as perfectly as Wes Welker? No. Is he as crisp as a wide receiver overall? No. But he's better. He's just better. He's better for the situation. He's better for the NFL. He's better for that big moment. That's what matters to me. It's like a kicker who all regular season is efficient as hell. Okay, cranking out all these awesome field goals, and then he gets to the NFL, he gets to the playoffs, and he can't do it. The moment's too big for him. And I experienced this in the late 2000s, where this guy named Neil Rackers was the kicker for the Cardinals. He was setting records and all kinds of stuff during the regular season, but when it came to a big moment, he couldn't make them. So I don't give a crap about your regular season stuff. I don't care, So it's the same thing every time. Can you give me that performance when we need it? When everything is the stress of the situation is at its highest, can you come through? And Edelman always came through. Edelman always came through on those big third down, fourth down conversions. When you needed him, he was always there. He would take shots that were just ridiculous, hits that looked like it would have murdered somebody and decapitated them. He kept going, and that's what you want. That's what you need. And Mike Evans doesn't have that. He doesn't have that fight and that willpower to keep going. So maybe you would have to do something about that. And it's not just coaching with Mike, because Mike was showing these signs even when under Arians. So I also believe, okay, now this is just my personal opinion. Haven't heard anything, but I just feel that Mike did not like the addition of Antonio Brown. I think he resented it. I don't think he ever embraced it. I don't even think he liked the addition of Rob Gronkowski. And that was a hit to his ego. All right? You got to remember, he was the face of the Buccaneers. He's been the face of the Buccaneers almost his entire career. He's the only thing that people know about the Buccaneers is Mike Evans. And now Tom comes in. Now Tom Brady's there. Okay, that's cool. Tom Brady's throwing me the ball. But now you brought Antonio Brown. Now, you brought Rob Gronkowski. You brought Leonard Fournette and all this other stuff. And I honestly think that he's got an ego trip. Larry Fitzgerald had this ego problem. He did too. He didn't like it when there were guys coming in that had a bigger name or a brand recognition, and he wasn't the man anymore, and it pissed him off. For the time that Larry and Anquan Boldin were playing together, Anquan Boldin was the better player. All around, he was the better player, in my opinion. Give me Anquan Boldin in his prime over Larry Fitzgerald in his prime. Again, it's one of those situations. It's the Randy Moss, Terrell Owens thing. It's the give me the guy that is always going to catch the ball and is a grinder and will keep pushing. The only knock on Anquan is that he was injured a lot. And the reason he was injured a lot is because he was fighting. And so, some of these guys, they stay away from contact. They don't want to fight for it a lot of times. Now, Larry, later on, now I'm referring to a certain time frame, okay? Later on, Larry started, getting better about being more like Boldin. But for a certain time period, Boldin was, in my opinion, the better player. Of course, we all know Anquan goes on, and he's one of the signature reasons why the Ravens won another Super Bowl. And that was obvious. And that's because he's a grinder. But people fall in love with these guys who are regular season dudes, and they crank out 1,000-yard seasons and stuff, but they don't see it underneath. They don't see what's happening. Edelman was never going to be a regular season guy. He was never going to be that guy that's constantly being, pulling off 1,000-yard seasons every year in and year out. It's just that's not who he is. He's the guy that you go to when you need him. And then we remember those moments. We remember the third down conversions against the Chiefs. We remember the big catch in the Super Bowl 51 where he was concentrating. We remember his go-ahead touchdown against the Seahawks in Super Bowl 49. We remember his MVP performance in Super Bowl 53. Those moments matter. But when he did those things in the regular season, just nobody noticed because it was the regular season. And I think the Bucs have a problem right now with that. Godwin is their grinder, okay? Godwin is a guy that will work on every play. He's a hard worker. He is a Patriot-type player. When I say Patriot, I mean the old Patriots, the Brady Patriots. He's one of those guys. Godwin is definitely one of those guys. He's a grinder. He'll give it everything he has. But when you play that kind of game, you do get injured a lot. But the rest of those guys, they're mentally weak. They're mentally weak. And you can have a bunch of guys like that together for a year and win yourself a Super Bowl, and you can have a good run. But to sustain that, you can't sustain greatness with a mentally weak roster. And they may be talented, but that's not enough. It's just not enough. If talent was the only thing that got Super Bowls, then the Chiefs would be working on their fourth one straight right now. If that was... if talent was the only thing that won Super Bowls, then the Patriots wouldn't have any. Okay? Zero. Nothing. If talent was the only thing that won Super Bowls, then the greatest show on turf defeats them in 2001. Talent didn't win that Super Bowl. That was won with pure determination, game planning, and willpower, and just imposing yourself on the other person. That's what that was. And, you can have the most talented team in college and it will work. It does work. Because the talent levels are so so ridiculously different. Ohio State is always going to have a de facto NFL team, meaning that a lot of their starters are going to get a shot at the NFL at some point. They go and play, the Arkansas State Indians, they're going to annihilate them or whatever, So it's different. It's different at the university level. But in the NFL, everybody is the best. Everybody is the man where they come from. Oh, you were all state. You were the greatest player in your state when you're in high school. Oh, you're one of the best players on your college team and everything. Oh yeah. And who isn't? Walk into an NFL locker room and point in any direction, and you're going to find one of the best in the country at what they did. That's just how it is. And I don't care if you're the Houston Texans, okay? I don't care if you're the Houston Texans or the Chiefs. the line is thin. And that line is that between winning and losing is not talent. It's not talent alone. It's also work ethic. It's also willpower and a very good game plan and very good coaching. All those things have to come together for you to win the Super Bowl. It's so hard. And that's why guys like Tom having 7 is just completely ridiculous and unthinkable. Israel sends a $5 super chat. He says, Denver has the longest streak in NFL history to not make playoffs after winning the Super Bowl. It's been 7 years. I think John Elway should take some blame too. Israel, John Elway, he is kind of a hard guy to figure out when it comes to talent evaluation. There's certain things that he seems to get correct, but quarterback is not one of them. Peyton Manning was an easy acquisition to get. Okay, Peyton Manning's available. Yeah, duh, get him. That wasn't some... But ever since then, I mean, I don't understand his idea about how to evaluate it. So all those years that you're referring to, and the reason why the drought like that, a lot of it is the quarterback. In this game, in today's game, you have to have the quarterback. So. Okay, I'm back. So his evaluation, like he thought Brock Osweiler was a good quarterback. It's like anybody over the certain height or something. It was very, very strange. And he just kept following it up with worse and worse people. It was really weird. I absolutely agree with you that Elway has to play a part in this because he's the one that's involved with the players and getting the players. And I never would have let Von Miller go, honestly. I would have found a way to get that worked out. Von Miller is exactly the type of player that I was talking about a while ago when we're talking about the guys who turn it on when it matters most. You do not want to see a team with Von Miller on their team in a divisional championship game, Super Bowl game. That's not a good idea. I don't know how, but he finds a new gear when it's playoff time. I mean, he's good. He's always good. He's a good regular season player too, but he just becomes a psycho during the playoffs. And so I would have saw that as value and, major value and probably not giving him up. But the Rams don't get to the Super Bowl last year without Von Miller. It just doesn't happen, And it's very, very unfortunate for the Bills to lose him. They're going to miss that in the playoffs. They're going to miss him coming after Mahomes if they end up playing the Chiefs in, the championship game. They're going to miss that. James Johnson celebrates 19 months of membership. He says a membership chat. He says, Brady retired J.J. Watt. Bucs versus Panthers. Pats versus Dolphins. Bills versus Bengals. So many high-stakes games. Can't wait. I just want to say thank you to the VAS community for keeping me in your thoughts and prayers. I truly needed all the support. Absolutely, James. Absolutely. And everything that has been happening and going on has worked out, and I'm glad that it has, and it's a relief. And I was concerned, and then you got snowed in, and I didn't hear from you for a while. It was very like, what the hell is going on? I was really worried, and we were all worried. It's just very glad everything is good now. So, and you're absolutely right. This weekend is gonna, I don't think that J.J. Watt ever sacked Tom. Now, I do know that J.J. actually has hit Tom. I've got clips of that, of J.J. knocking the crap out of Brady. So I don't know. I wish he wasn't retiring. I wish he would do one more year with a contender. You know, I don't know his contract situation. I don't know how that works, but it's too bad. I really wanted to see him on a team that is kind of like trying to make a run. That would be really cool. But I guess he's done, and only he knows the reasons. So maybe he doesn't feel like he can do it anymore. He can't make it there. He can't get to the quarterback. Although he did get to Brady, he disrupted a lot. He was disruptive at that game, and he was disruptive in the run game. So. He also creates a lot of holding penalties on the offense. So just knowing that J.J. Watt is across there, I don't care what year it is or what age it is, you're thinking about it. As a quarterback, you're thinking about it. You're like, I don't know. Got to keep an eye on him. It's something there about that. And I could see him, getting with Buffalo or some team like that next year. If he was able to. Like I said, I don't know his contract situation, so he might not be able to. He might be stuck with the Cardinals. It's either stay with the Cardinals or retire. And if that's the case, then that probably helped him decide, because he knows the Cardinals are going nowhere fast. I mean, this is a Cardinals team that just gave Football Baby a ridiculous amount of money, and they're going to be looking for a new coach. The Cardinals are done. The moment they sign that Kyler Murray contract, they are done for years. So that's if his contract, if he's stuck in his contract, then that's probably it. The good thing about that situation with the audio earlier is that whatever it was, if my computer records this episode, and it records every piece of audio with on a single track. So if whatever that was, which I still don't know what it was, I didn't have anything open. I don't know. So, huh?
Some guy laughing and repeating the same thing.
Okay, so whatever it was, if it was not on the same audio source, then I could actually clip what I was saying and re-release it as a short clip without that. But if that was within my microphone, if it was some kind of frequency problem or something, and it would be on the same track, then I can't fix it. But we'll see. I need to hear it too. That's very strange. We don't hear anything. Milena, you don't hear anything. You didn't hear anything naturally, right? So
Right, no.
It was definitely coming through the...
But I went and heard it. I know where it's at.
Okay.
It's like for a minute.
Okay, I'm just catching up here now. Eddie! What's up, Eddie? Tapazio's here. Julian Edelman don't drop balls. That's right. Who made the miracle catch to turn out? Who made the miracle catch to turn around Super Bowl 51? Enough said. Oh, absolutely, Ozymandias. If individual plays could be nominated for the Hall of Fame, absolutely. And there's a lot of plays that people don't look at, like his throw to Danny Amendola. Of course, I'm talking about Edelman. Edelman's touchdown pass to Danny Amendola in 2014 against the Baltimore Ravens in the divisional game. That for us to tie it 28-28 no matter now. Okay, guys, I don't know what happened. Spectrum, our internet here in LA. This is Los Angeles. Nothing works right. From the government all the way to companies, nothing works right here. It's why Tesla left to Texas, is because of too high taxes and not enough efficiency, and this happens to us all the time, and I'm getting sick of it. So we look over the box. If it has a red light, that means the internet went out, and now it just came back. So and we were getting people at it. People were coming back. I mean, I noticed that new people were logging in.
It rains a little bit, it does that.
Yeah, it just rained a little bit here. And it's like you would think that we were in Boston during a snowstorm. Okay? This is what happens in a state like California where they climate change. Climate. Yeah. Yeah. You know what climate change is, ladies and gentlemen? Climate change is spring, summer, fall, winter. Repeat. That's climate change. Idiots. This is I'm in the same state right now who recently said, nope, there was everybody needs to get electric vehicles. Okay? Everybody needs to get electric vehicles. And then, shit you not, a few days after that, there was brownouts and a problem with the infrastructure, electrical grid here. And then the same governor said, you can't charge your e-vehicles. I'm not kidding. That's absolutely true story. It is that stupid here. It's that stupid. So let's give everybody a chance to make it come back here. I think that it changed the chat, unfortunately, at the point of the disconnect. So I'm going to have to pull up two different versions here. All right. Yeah, that's strange. It moved it to a new chat. Okay. And we're back. All right. So I'm going to go back to where I was answering y'all's questions. Yeah. All right. I think, yeah, we lost a lot of people. We lost like 12 people during that stupid brownout. Gotta love it. Gotta love California. Okay, we have Chio Chips here. It says, greetings from Germany. Watch your show always after work. First time live. Give TB12 Tyreek Hill. Tua is done. Awesome, Chio. I love seeing new people who watch the show or make their presence known. Thank you, Deutschland. That's your third person from Germany that watches the show. That consistently watches the show. We have other Germans, but I haven't seen them in a while. But yeah. Tua Tua has to make a decision. Okay, so this is what I think is 3 concussions in one season. Technically, he's only been in concussion protocol twice, but it's I think it's 3. He has one of those problems where, like a fighter, a UFC fighter or a boxer, there's a turning point in their career where they start getting concussions and then they can't stop getting them. You know, if you've not had a history of concussions or not had any at all, you can take head trauma, bang your head on the ground like that, even with a football helmet on, and nothing really happens to you. But after that one time it happens again, and it happens easier and easier each time. It's time to start thinking about brain damage seriously. And I know Tua, he's young in his career, but that's 3 in 1 year. I don't know, man. It's one thing to have injuries on the rest of your body. It's another to have your brain being bashed in and swirled around your skull constantly. And he's going to have to make a decision of some sort. I don't know what the deal is, but he just seems to hit his head a lot, I know one thing, Tom Brady, he learns how to, he took different types of martial arts and stuff to try to learn how to land. So when his body gets hit, he knows kind of how to come down correctly, and not just for his head, but I mean just for his entire body to avoid injuries and stuff like that. And perhaps Tua could look into something like that, and that may improve him or help him. But I tell you what won't help the situation. It's constantly relying on trying to escape. Sometimes it's okay to take a sack, okay? And usually when you're being sacked, if you're running back, trying to get out of it, that is when your body is contorted differently, and that's when the momentum of being slung down, because the guy sacking you is using his momentum and your own momentum against you. And when you do that, you go down, and then your head is just loose and it bangs on the back on the bottom of the ground. As where if you anticipate the sack and you tense up and you're ready for it, you just go down, and you understand to keep your neck, you understand to keep your head up and just go down with it, and you understand you can anticipate what's coming. But when you're running around, it's impossible to fight that the momentum and the trajectory you're on when you're being taken down to the ground. That happened to me with my hip when I fractured my hip in August. I could fall anywhere. I could be walking on ice, just walking across the street. I could fall, and I wouldn't have damaged my hip the way I damaged it this time because of the situation. I wasn't ready. I was running for a tennis ball. I was running as fast as I could backwards. So the moment I tripped, my momentum of running carried me so fast that I couldn't fight it. I couldn't fix it. I couldn't change anything. And so I landed on my hip in the worst possible spot, and my hip took all of the hit, all of the weight at the same time. Had I just tripped just right in front and fallen forward or something, I could have, changed things. I could have done something about it. And it's very similar to getting sacked. It's also like being in a car accident or something, It just depends on the situation and if you can move your body and if you can anticipate it. And these quarterbacks have to understand that getting sacked is not a bad thing. You just so you're protecting the ball, you're taking the sack, and then you're able to defend yourself. And these guys, they want every single play to be a big play. They think that they're in a video game. And Patrick Mahomes learned this the hard way in Super Bowl 55. Okay? So he tried to make everything happen on his own instead of just, okay, this is the situation. I'm just going to take my progressions. I'm going to take whatever Tampa gives me, and I'm going to make that happen. Even if I have to get rid of the ball fast, whatever, we're going to do that. We're going to, run the ball when we have to, things like that. But no, he tried to do what he always does, which is when you're in panic mode and when you're in a bad situation, you default to your natural position, what you're naturally comfortable with. And he fell back in the moment the pressure was on in the Super Bowl. He fell back into that, I'm going to throw the ball to Tyreek Hill, 1,000 yards down the field, and he's going to catch it miraculously or whatever. And he just kept trying to make that happen. And the only way he felt he could make that happen is running around all day long, Had he just changed his approach, just calmed down and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do in the second half. I'm just going to take what they give me. Tampa was giving him that. The Tampa Bay secondary was giving him those yards. It was giving them those 5-yard, 7-round out routes and things. If he had just took them instead of trying to play hero ball. Do you guys remember Tom Brady ever throwing it deep and connecting on a 40, 50-yard Tyreek Hill type play in Super Bowl 51 when they were down 28-3? No. What do we remember Tom doing after they went down 28-3? Tom was taking what the Falcons gave him. The Falcons were in prevent defense quite a bit, okay? Depending on the situation, they would be off from the line of scrimmage 10 yards, 12 yards. Okay? Tom's like, really? Okay, I'll take that. Touchdown. Okay? Take it. Do it. But Patrick went into panic mode, and he took a beating for it. And it's just, that is this new kind of quarterback. And it's just really frustrating. And I just don't know why that these guys and these coaches are not telling them and not getting through to them. It's weird. But I don't know. Maybe this is being coached at the collegiate level, and it's approved of there, and they come in and they can't unlearn it. They can't, they default back to that position. But it'll cost you. It'll cost you in big games. It can work against, certain teams, and in regular season it can work. But James Johnson sends a $10 super chat. He says, Justin Herbert finally got his sherbert with a playoff berth. Hopefully they don't charger themselves to an embarrassing loss. You know that's coming, James. You know it's coming. He says, where do you think Derek Carr ends up? Jaguars or Titans? Who do you got? Well, first of all, I'd like to say regarding Justin Herbert that I have a big fear that, I say fear, that's probably the wrong word, but I'm disappointed that Justin Herbert might go the way of Dan Marino, or Dan Fouts or Phillip Rivers or somebody like that, where they are a good regular season quarterback and they show a lot of talent and they show a lot of just how good they are, but they're kind of just, they don't get to that next stage and they don't get to where they need to go. And I'm just wondering if that's what we're looking at with Justin Herbert, is a guy who's crazy good. And if you just understand what he is as a quarterback and the team has the right chemistry and you got the right coaching and all that, there could be great things happening there. And I just wonder if that's going to end up being his fate here. So we'll see. But I think they're going to charger themselves, as you say, into an embarrassing loss. I think that's going to end up happening. If they're in the NFC, I might have a little more, but I think the AFC matchup they're going to end up with is most likely going to destroy them. So who are they going to end up with? The Bengals. It depends on the record, I guess, but are in their playoff position. If they're going to end up with the Bengals, the Bills, or the Chiefs. It's just any one of those teams would destroy that Chargers team. So, and then you asked me, where do I think Derek Carr ends up? So Derek Carr was benched. Josh McDaniels benched Derek after having 3 picks the other night against the Steelers. Now, they're going to start Jarrett Stidham. You guys remember Jarrett Stidham. He was the backup for Brady in 2019 and in New England. So this is a Josh McDaniels thing, and he wants to see what he's got in Stidham. Stidham's never started a game. I guess it's okay. I don't think it's an indictment on Derek personally as much, because he's certainly not the absolute reason that the Raiders suck. Okay? The Raiders are just the Raiders. The Raiders are an undisciplined, ridiculous team and ridiculous organization. No matter who's coaching, no matter who the quarterback is. I don't see that changing anytime soon because no matter what, they've shown us who they are. But Derek's time was always up in Las Vegas. I almost said Oakland. His time is almost up anyway. So unless they did something miraculously crazy and, Derek goes on a crazy run, but that wasn't going to happen. So he was gone anyway. So I guess it makes sense just to see what Stidham can do with a full week of practice. Let him start. He's never started before. So let's see what he's got as far as what Josh McDaniels is probably thinking. But again, I don't think it's absolutely about Derek. I think it's more about the Raiders doing their due diligence since it doesn't matter anymore. Where do I think he ends up? The Jaguars? Oh, I'm so sorry. That's a different sentence. Yeah, okay. See, the way it follows it up, it says, where do you think Derek Carr will end up? Jaguars or Titans? And I was like, wait. But it says Jaguars, Titans. Yeah, okay. Where do I think Derek will end up? One of the teams that we're also talking about that need quarterbacks that could be possible scenarios, and some of them regarding Brady. So look out for whatever Brady isn't doing is probably Derek will be looked at for that. So let's say the Dolphins, for example. If Tua's concussions is what we're just talking about, if that becomes a problem and he may decide to retire, and he might. There's been other guys who've retired even faster. So due to concerns about CTE, then the Dolphins may want to look at Derek. Derek is not a bad quarterback, guys. He's not. Okay, he's not a terrible quarterback by any stretch. But he has had a lot of inconsistency with the Raiders organization, and a lot of people not believing in him, then believing in him, then somebody new comes in, and then this and this and this. And, it's just a lot of that. So he can play. He can play. He just needs a chance somewhere else. I think he just needs a new start. But Miami could be a place. The Saints are going to absolutely need a quarterback next year. So New Orleans could be good for him. The Bucs are going to need a quarterback next year. And are they going to go with Kyle Trask? I mean, or what does it really make a difference as long as Todd Bowles is the coach? I guess not, but they're going to need a quarterback. So, yeah, there's a lot of options there. Jaguars or Titans, who do I have? The Jaguars are clearly the favorite now, in my opinion, to win the division. So the Titans are done. I cannot believe it. All this year we've been saying, what's wrong with the Titans? They started out good and then they just completely fell apart. I can't actually pinpoint why. Like, what is the singular reason? To be quite honest with you, I've not really pondered it that much as far as the Titans go, because I put the Titans are one of those teams that I put to the side and think, okay, Mike Vrabel's going to have them playing good, and they're going to find a way into the playoffs. But now they've kind of gotten on my radar because of how bad they are. And the Jaguars are actually playing really good football and opportunistic and making things happen and stuff like that. So definitely Jacksonville. It looks like Gord King read the super chat wrong the same way I did. Yeah, it looks like, where do you think Derek Carr will end up? Jaguars or Titans? And then you have to like read it separately, and you have to read the end. Yeah, I read the same way Gord King at first. In fact, I was about to say that. I was about, wait, Jaguars are going to get rid of Trevor Lawrence? That doesn't make sense. Luck. Brady is very lucky. In what manner? What are you referring to exactly? Would you care to elaborate on that? Lucky in what regard? I'm just catching up for a second, guys. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going to move to the other chat now. That one ran out, so. Okay. I'm interested in that comment, though. The Gord King says, while we're waiting, let's take a walk in the Feelings Garden. That's funny. I would like to know. Yeah, this luck conversation thing. Okay. Well, by the time I get to the end, I'm sure it'll show me. James Johnson says a $5 super chat. He says, I should have clarified. Jags or Titans for AFC South. Derek Carr's next move is a separate question. Okay, yeah. So you didn't have to send a super chat, James. You didn't have to spend money just to correct yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. We're the ones that read it incorrectly. If you look at the original super chat, it's two separate sentences. It's clear that it is. I just read it wrong, so. The Gore King says, I think I'd rather visit the Middle East wearing a Jesus Saves shirt in Afghanistan than visit California. Well, interesting. I completely get your sentiment there. And that's true about California. But Jesus is actually a prophet in the Muslim religion. So it might not. The saves part might be the problem, though. Yeah, so that might be a problem. It's just, and like I was saying earlier, in California, it's just there's too many extremes. There's an extreme reaction to everything. Okay, so there's some heat coming in, so they have an extreme reaction and say, it's because of global warming and we've got to everyone's got to get electric cars. So that's an extreme reaction, right? And then something else happens and then the electric grid goes down, which obviously wouldn't be able to handle all electric cars right now until they update it. And then they have an extreme reaction. You can't charge your electric cars. And, or one thing happens, like an incident between police or somebody. Get rid of the police. Oh, wait, now crime is up 1,000%. Now we've got to go totalitarian and start marching people down the streets and locking everyone down in their homes. It's like one extreme to the other. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. They just have no consistency at all. Moderation, people. People are very understanding. We're very understanding people. We understand moderation. Okay? Something's going on. Put out a filler saying, hey, the electrical grid's a little stressed. Can you guys kind of chill? Maybe skip the dishwasher tonight or something. Okay. All right. I have no problem doing that. My problem is the extreme. The one from 0 to 10 over anything, any little thing that happens. And that's the biggest problem they've got. So we're always going to be moving towards electric cars. That's always going to happen eventually. But it's not the only answer. It's not the only fix. We should have actually been on electric cars a long time ago, but we all know how that works, that the bureaucracy involved and the corporate stuff involved. But it's going to happen eventually. Everything is going to become and go into that direction, but forcing things is not gonna make it happen. Forcing things is not going to work. You got to let things naturally occur. So. Oh, when I say, well, okay, Tom Brady took martial arts, okay, not like in that sense. He just worked on learning how to land, like judo and stuff like that, learning how to land on his body, and got a little help with that. He's not some black belt in kung fu or something like that. So please don't think that's what I was saying. Cobra Kai confirmed. Yes, that's what I said. Absolutely, that's right, guys. You can clip it. Tom Brady is a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo. Confirmed. It's done. So. That DC, that is DC about California. That's the sad part of it, is that California is by far the most versatile state in the country. And if not the best looking state, as far as all of it combined and everything that you can do, it's got to be one of the top ones. And that's the sad part, is because all of the people, the government here, and how they do things is overshadowing that. It's a wonderful state. I mean, you could spend your whole life, you could spend an entire lifetime in California, born and raised, die at the age of 90, and never leave your state. Not ever cross the boundaries of California. And you could experience most of anything. You want to experience a winter or cold or snow, you can do that. You want to go skiing, you can do that. You want to be on the beach, you can do that. You want to go to hot weather, you can do that. You want to go to rainy weather, go up to the north, to San Francisco. You can have anything you want in California. You want the desert, go to the desert. You can do that too. Anything you want is provided in California. And all the major cities, you've got any sport you want to go to, any concert. It does have those things. It's being ruined by people. It's like Edward the Longshanks in Braveheart once said, "The trouble with Scotland is that it's full of Scots." Okay, well, the trouble with California is it's full of California people. And that's the problem. So the state is phenomenal. And it's sad. It's sad that it's going down to this. But its reputation is shot nationwide. If the reputation is shot, it's because the people is why. So, and it could be fixed. This could be the greatest state, and it used to be. There was a time where California was the greatest state in the country, and it's where everybody wanted to be. DC, where are you at? You're in San Diego, right? Yeah, that's so weird. So, guys, you see Nightly Sinister there. So that's my friend Kevin. We've been friends since kindergarten, and we went to the game together on Sunday. This is crazy, right? So, as you guys know, I fractured my hip in August. They tried to replace my hip. Replace it. I'm like, yeah, no thanks. I'm not getting surgery. No thanks. I've never done something like that. I'm not going to until I absolutely have to do something like that. But Kevin goes, oh yeah, I've got a fake hip. What? You never told me that. Yeah, he goes, 10 years ago. Yeah, I fell at work and they replaced my hip. It's even the same one, the left hip. Kevin, if I had known that, I would have had a million questions for you after I fractured my hip. Milena, think about that.
Yeah.
Back in August when we had all those questions and didn't know what to do.
Freaking out,
researching. Had I known, Kevin, that you went through that, I would have had a million questions for you. But Kevin did what I almost did. I came very close to letting them do it, and he did get it done. And I'm not so sure it had to happen that way. But I mean, his situation might have been different. But yeah, but he does. Well, he told me that he's got problems though. Yeah. So. I don't know, but the point is, I just think that's weird that two guys who grew up together, same leg, same hip situation, same everything. That's very strange. So, and me and Kevin both, when we were kids, we were the ones that never got hurt. Okay, so we'd play like full on tackle football, we'd play hockey, all kinds of stuff. Hitting each other. We'd do all kinds of crazy stuff, jump bikes off dirt mounds and jump off buildings and things. Just stupid crap. We'd play BB gun wars with no armor on. So, we'd shoot each other with BBs and stuff in the woods. But me and him never got hurt. We never got injured. Never, all the other kids always broke their bones or they got something happened to them or ended up in the emergency room. And then it's just very weird that we both end up with the same injury. That's very strange. I know, I'm catching up. What's my opinion on Bill O'Brien possibly replacing Matt Patricia? Yes, please. Dude, my opinion on replacing Matt Patricia with a water buffalo might intrigue me, or my opinion on that would probably be, yeah, let's go ahead. So. The Gord King says, congratulations to the Raiders for finally figuring out that it's all Derek's fault and not the fact that they haven't put together a top 10 scoring defense since 2002. Yep, it's all Derek's fault. Well said, Gord King. Well said. Yeah, John Thomas Chavez. Yeah, I think it's just it's an organizational decision. This is not an indictment on Derek as a player. He'll be fine. So, heck, he'll actually be better than fine. He's going to end up probably in a better situation. I mean, let's not get crazy. Nobody's saying that he is a top 10 quarterback or something, but he is an NFL quarterback, and that there's very few of those, to be honest with you. John Thomas Chavez sends a $2 super chat and says, Titans should be remembered for rejecting Brady. Absolutely. Idiots. Yeah, Gord King, regarding Trevor Lawrence, he's putting him with this coach was perfect for him. And he was always going to develop into this at some point, I think. But yeah, that's a good point about him, and I'm glad. We're seeing an improvement finally, because everyone was already yelling bust. He's a bust. He's a bust, and I was like, okay, well, yeah. Look who his coaches were until Doug Peterson, right? So it's just. Which team would I rather win the Super Bowl? Jaguars or Dolphins? Oh man, that's insanely easy. The Jaguars. That's too easy. The Dolphins? Not only can I not stand the Dolphins, but I don't hate them like some other teams, but I can't stand them, because, well, their owner's an idiot. But besides that, I mean, how do you screw up a situation with Brady and Peyton like that so badly? But anyway, I don't like Tyreek Hill at all. I cannot stand that guy. I can't. I've never wanted to I'm going to punch him in the face. Whack. Just boom. Pow. Boom, bitch. Get out the way.
What is that song?
I don't know the name of the song. I think it's got by a guy named Ludacris or something. All these billions being spent, we can't figure out a more efficient power grid. John Thomas Chavez, you think that money actually is going to power grid? No, you're making a rhetorical point, and I completely agree. So, James Johnson sends a $5 super chat. He says, Elon Musk had to leave California and move to Texas because his electric cars couldn't survive in California. Alpha Courage says, only at the precipice of destruction will they finally demand change. That's human nature, isn't it? That seems to be what we do. Honestly, I'm surprised we've survived this long as a species. We better get some stuff figured out, because, yeah. The Minuteman says, I heard Tom Brady is also a third-degree black belt at winning, too. No, he's a 18th degree black belt at winning. Get it right, man. How do you charge electric cars if you have no parking? Lots of inner city apartment blocks have no parking lots, not just low rise, 30 stories towers too. Yeah, well, that's a good question, and I don't know. Milena, do you have an answer to that?
No.
It's because it's not about electric cars. It's not about the climate. It's just a way to launder money to themselves. It's whatever it is. It's whatever the thing is this year, whatever that thing is. It's the Ukraine flag to raise money. You think they give a flying shit about Ukraine? Do you think any politician in this country gives a crap about anything other than themselves? It's just a scheme to launder money. There's no logic to anything they do. Like you're saying, Ozymandias, there's no logic to it. But nobody questions it either. So it's just going to keep happening. California is like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, okay? It's a very nice mansion with a lot of amenities, but it's so riddled with termites that you have to burn that mansion down and just start over. And that's California, and that's the Buccaneers. Buccaneers have a lot of great players. They have a lot of potential, but it's so rotten from the inside through the coaching staff and the mentality that it just has to be reset. It just has to be knocked over. And Tom can't stay there for that. It's too the problem is too bad now. In fact, DC, that's cool because I think, in my opinion, I think San Diego is probably the best place to be if you're going to be in California. That's, I think they have some sensible people down there. It's from what I heard. So, Elva Courage, since a $5 super chat, he says surgery isn't so bad. It's the painful recovery that sucks. Yeah. I just always had that weird feeling that once you let yourself be opened up and do stuff, it at times it can become a problem and there's no going back kind of thing. And I didn't want to start that tradition of being worked on. So, like I said, I've never experienced it, so I just didn't want to deal with it. You guys did BB gun fights too? DC-52? That's cool. Yeah, looking back on it, I can't believe we even did that. That's crazy. We could have shot our eyes out and all kinds of crap. So. Looks like I'm catching up here. Anti-base metal, what's up, man? It's funny, a lot of people like George Carlin. They give him props, for explaining things that are now happening now. It's like he was some kind of visionary, and that right there is kind of a problem for us in general in America, is that common sense has been deteriorated so badly that when someone is just speaking normal and someone is saying things that are just frank, okay, and things that are just how they are and just on the surface, and you're saying something that everybody, it's the elephant in the room. Everyone knows there's a giant ass elephant in the room, and everyone's doing everything possible to avoid talking about it, even though it's so obvious. You just try to ignore it, right? And that George Carlin was just doing that. He was taking common sense from older versions of America where that was normal for everyone to think and see what's happening and understand what's happening. So when George Carlin says, hey, the government is corrupt, or hey, Republican and Democrats are working together like they're villains in a WWE match or something, okay? When he says things like this was obvious. It's very obvious. But now, in today's world, you're either anti-government completely and don't trust anything they do, or you are so pro-government that if they put it on CNN to kill your parents, you probably would do it. All right? So now, when someone gets up and speaks common sense, they're a radical. It's like, it's brilliant. Oh my God, this guy's a genius. How is he doing all these things? When you get a politician that just gets things done and does things, and everyone's like, wow, he's so great at it. And I'm just like, well, actually, he's just doing his job. He's just there's no brilliant formula. It's not doing, this is not high level concept or anything. This is just, if a politician who just does his job, look at the dude in Florida. He's just doing his job. He's doing what a governor's supposed to do. He does what is best for his constituents, what his people want, and he does it, and he makes it happen, okay? This isn't some genius thing. He's not some, like, one of the greatest politicians that's ever lived. He's simply doing what he's supposed to do, okay? And we all are in awe of it. Oh, my God. Wow. Can you believe it? No, well, it's just kind of doing what any of us would do if we just did your job. So we are so used to every single politician and every person in power not doing their job that we forgot what it actually means. And when someone does it, we're shocked and we think they're brilliant. There was a time in this country where every politician, every person, well, they weren't considered politicians back then, but they all did their jobs. And that's why they're historic and legendary and stuff like that. But now it's become something else. It's become a circus. But so what George Carlin was saying back then was just obvious, being blunt. And today that's seen as brilliance and genius. Not that he wasn't. I'm just saying though that a lot of us think like this. A lot of you think like that. But when someone in a position that has a big voice and a loud voice gets out there, and it's like, wow, look at them. But no, it's not really. It's actually just how it should be. You know, you got Elon Musk on Twitter releasing all these files about what the government was doing. And it's like, wow, can't believe Elon Musk is a revolutionary and stuff, which, again, he is. And that's great that he's doing that. And I give him props for it because that's how bad things are. But there's an entire half of the country that can read that the FBI was shutting down citizens on their Twitter accounts just because they had a difference of opinion. And there's an entire half of our country that thinks that's totally normal and it's okay. When normally our entire country should be completely pissed off about this. Like, what? So it's a very strange situation. And these things will not just remain within political climate or corporate climate. It's going to branch out into where it's going to come a time where we as humans, it's going to cost us. This ignoring things, putting things to the side, thinking, oh, someone's going to take care of it. Someone's going to work it out. I got to worry about what I'm doing here. And just somebody else is going to take care of it. And when every single human on earth keeps pushing it to the next person, eventually you're going to run out of people. And that's when there's not going to be anybody there to fix it or do anything about it. And that's what I'm worried about. That's why I don't agree with all this agenda to scale down the population of Earth and all this other stuff. It's like, what do you, no, I mean, that's not a good idea, you know? So it's, but yeah, and anyway, that's a different conversation, but I'm just saying, people who do things with common sense, what used to be common sense, and people who just do their job today are seen as brilliant and amazing and exceptional when they're just stating the obvious. And that's an indictment on us as a culture here in America, and perhaps even the rest of the world, or a lot of the Western world at least. So George Carlin was funny, man. I love that stuff. I love watching that stuff now and watch what he was saying back then. But, you know, the generation he's from, that was obvious. You know, that stuff was obvious. You know, that was a time where the media questioned the state. The media's job was to put them in tough situations. So, Mr. President, why did you do that? Or Mr. Governor, why'd you do that? Well, but this isn't true. This is what happened. Look at this. And you're supposed to put them on the hot seat. Now the media walks up to a politician and says, oh, you're so great. What kind of ice cream are you eating? You know, it's like, hell, the media doesn't even do their jobs in football. Have you guys seen the media go at Bill Belichick at all? Have you seen him ask him anything and correct them? And say, hey, no, I want an answer. No, answer the question. You know, I remember days when the media would go after Bill Parcells, and Parcells would have to say something, and he would give you a good soundbite or something, and he would get in an interaction with them, or we'd get a good soundbite from Mike Ditka or The playoffs, that guy, because that was the media pressing those coaches. They were forcing an answer out of them. And we've lost that. We don't have a media anymore. Those guys ingratiate themselves to the coaching staff and to the team that they're working for because they don't want to, they're so afraid of being disliked and something happening instead of doing what they're supposed to do. And they don't ask questions. The media is supposed to be our voice as people, as citizens. The media is our group that holds power and puts power in check. Whether it's football or whether it's government or whether it's corporations doing hardcore things. But now they're all part of the same group. And so if you get a journalist that goes and asks Bill Belichick questions, they're afraid to piss him off. And if they piss him off, Bill Belichick's going to label them, and then the ownership of the Patriots, Robert Kraft, is going to label him, and then they talk to the radio station or the newspaper that guy works for, and then all of a sudden we don't want him around anymore. We don't ask him questions. And the paper or the newspaper or the radio station will comply because they don't want to lose some kind of funding or some kind of whatever perks with that team. In reality, that journalist's boss should say, screw you, we're going to keep sending him back because he's doing his job. But that's not how it works anymore. Everybody is paid by somebody else, and it's a big circle. And that's it. There is no outsider that can come in and ask those tough questions. And if he does, he ain't getting a second chance. If I got credentialed for a Patriots interview process, or the press conference, and I asked Bill Belichick a bunch of hard questions, and I went at him, basically asking him everything that we want to know as Patriots fans. Everything we want to know, we want answers from him. I would piss him off to no end, and I would be reported by him, and he would report it to somebody else, and then eventually I would suffer because either the people I work for wouldn't put me out there anymore and give me that opportunity, or if I was an independent journalist, they would put me in the black book, and they would say, no, this guy, we can't get you credentialed. And all they have to say is, oh, we only have a certain amount of passes, and we had to give them away. They don't even have to tell me why they did it. So that's why all those journalists are just kissing his ass when he's doing press conference. And this is every team. Every team. It's just there's no accountability. There was a time where a player or a coach would have to come to the podium and fear the press. You'd be like, oh man, if anything, Todd Bowles should have changed the coaching style. Byron Leftwich should have changed something by now, knowing how upset the fans are. And the fans are right. I'm not saying that you change things due to every time a fan is pissed off or something. But we're talking about this is blatantly obvious. This is a year-long thing. And normally in the old days, the media would have said, hey, your fans are pissed off at you. Everyone's pissed off at you. Every football analyst in the country agrees that your coaching sucks. What are you doing? Of course, you change the language a little bit, but I'm just being frank here. Why are you doing these things? Why are you not doing play action? Why are you not giving Tom Brady the ball with 2 minutes left in a tie ball game? What are you doing exactly? Why is your guys not seem motivated anymore? How come you don't seem to care? How come we don't see you coaching on the sidelines? Why do we see you just staring off into space like a moron? They used to ask these questions. They used to ask these questions of coaches. You couldn't get away with this stuff. Now it doesn't matter. You got nobody to answer to. And if you do have to answer to somebody, like I said, you're never going to see them again. Or if you do see them again, it's because someone talked to them and put them in their place. They've got no fear. I saw a video on Twitter of a fan at the Steelers, and he's in this walkway. There's just a few people around, but he's kind of by himself, and it's after halftime, and I think it's after halftime, and Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Steelers, is walking by himself, and the fan just goes, "Hey, Coach Tomlin, let's go get that win, okay?" And Mike Tomlin looks up from his paper and looks at him and says, I'm fucking working here. Okay, that's nice. Well, if he was so focused that he's working that he had to cuss out a fan, then why did he even hear him or acknowledge him? Like, wouldn't you just keep walking? Why would you take time to say that? Because there's no fear. He's not going to have to answer for that. Nobody is ever going to ask Mike Tomlin about that in an aggressive manner and say, hey, why did you use the F word at a fan who was telling you and cheering you on, telling you to go get the win? Why did you do that? That wouldn't have been acceptable before. Now it is. Because who is going to go after Mike Tomlin and question him for that in a real manner? Nobody, you know? And they have this attitude now. They think that they're God. And that, you know, a lot of these quarterbacks, a lot of these coaches live vicariously through their quarterbacks, and no one calls them out on it. It's just people like me who bring this stuff up. It's just people like me who say that Sean McVay ruined Jared Goff. It's Sean McVay's fault. It's not Jared Goff's. It was McVay's bad, idiotic coaching vicariously through Jared, where Jared didn't develop. And so he had to bring in Matthew Stafford, a quarterback who already knew how to play, so it could get McVay off the hook. And now look at Sean McVay this year. Look how great of a coach he is. Yeah, that's going well. What, he doesn't have the roster to win? I mean, come on. Who's going to come after Sean McVay? No, it's the media that was making him the wonder boy, the boy genius. They're the ones salivating every time he says something. I haven't seen as much salivating over the media over Sean McVay as I saw salivating of Congress over President Zelensky. I thought every member of Congress was going to go down there and give him a blowjob, honestly. But that's how they are with Sean McVay. So he can ruin Jared Goff's career. It's okay. You can just send him off to Detroit. And nobody's going to ask him about it. Nobody's going to say, hey, McVay, you sent Jared off to Detroit, but you were responsible for his development as a young quarterback. And you would never get out of his head. Like you were always involved. So you never let him do his thing. You never just let him go out there and make mistakes and then discover things for himself and let it happen. So don't you think you're responsible for that? No one's going to come at him like that. They used to. They would before. Have you guys noticed that every time we have a legendary coach soundbite, it's always from 10 years or before ago? 10 years ago or before? You don't get that kind of thing. The only time you get the media pressing at a coach is if it's for something other than football. It's some kind of agenda that they've got. But they won't press for the fans and for the team and how the team is doing. They won't do that. They won't cross that line. And you're going to continue to have bad football. And it's getting worse every single year. This year's been particularly worse. It's been very bad, actually, league-wide. The football has been, you guys remember it was sloppy up until like week 10. It finally started looking like normal NFL football again. So, no accountability. It's not just the media. The coaches can't have accountability. They can't hold their players to account a lot anymore because of the collective bargaining agreements. You can't practice them very often. Everybody there's a restraint everywhere, and you just can't get it done. And you think this is just football? No, this is a reflection of us as people. Our military is being done this way. Everything is done this way. So, ever notice that customer service is complete dog shit for anything? No accountability. Because whoever that person is that you're talking to that's treating you like shit probably can't get fired for some whatever reason. Okay? Or can't, or the boss can't come down on them because they'll get in trouble by somebody. So, this is the world we've built. But this is a football channel, so I'm trying to stay within the lane of football, and it's the same thing. It's the team. These teams can't do anything. So do you see the refs getting in trouble? They have game-changing, sometimes season-changing calls, and nobody answers for it. It's very interesting, isn't it? I'm just going to say one more thing that's not exactly sports related, and that is the downward trajectory of this nation. The beginning point, if you want to really look, the starting point was with the death of JFK, a murder of JFK. I think that was when there was a line crossed, and they saw that there was no physical pushback from the citizens that their president was killed. And they realized that they could brainwash people and push a fake story, and they could get away with things. Because then after that, they killed Bobby Kennedy. And then after that, they killed Martin Luther King. Okay? And then they got us into, wars like Vietnam. And then they realized that they could get away with anything, and they could do what they wanted. And so we replaced statesmen and people who cared about the country and believed in America. We replaced them with corporate type mentality. And these politicians since then have corporate mentality. It's all about making money and what they can get for themselves. But I think that was the beginning. I think that was if there's a line that's crossed, that was the crossing of the line right there. And that's when they found out that they could do these things. It's kind of like the fall of Rome, okay? And nobody knows the exact year that happened that caused Rome in itself to be, to fall. It wasn't just the barbarians invading. That was just kind of the thing that physically kind of caused it. But that was a result of an internal core rotting out from the inside. And if you could go back in time a few years before the actual fall of Rome and ask any regular citizen and say, hey, how do you feel about being a Roman? They're not going to tell you, the Rome is falling and I'm not proud to be a Roman and the country's over and our empire is finished. Even though they don't realize, because we are time travelers, we understand the timeline, even though they don't realize that just in a few years it's all over. They won't know. They'll talk to you like they're a proud Roman, okay? And that their empire, the Roman Empire, will last for thousands of years, and they wouldn't know the difference. And we're that way right now. We don't realize that we are right there. We are right there on the line, and we don't know it. We don't know it. We just, in general, we walk around like that Roman citizen who says, oh no, America is in control and we are the biggest country, we're the most important country and all this. And we're in that moment. And I believe that moment the timeline started right around that time with JFK. And I think this is the winding down of it. And because nobody cares. And they keep finding new ways to keep us oblivious to what's going on. New ways, cell phones, internet, websites, TV, everything. They're constantly shifting gears and getting our attention to something else. It's crazy. It's just, but that, like I said, you can't point to one single event that causes the fall of an empire, okay? But if we were forced to, I think it's the JFK thing that would be a good starting point. Clearly, there was elements of that before for it to get to that point. But I'm just saying, if we had to pick a hard event to actually go off of, the obsession with fighting communism instead of worrying about ourselves played a role in that too. But as humans, if we don't root out bad people and evil people as good people, if we don't do that, then they're going to take all those jobs and they're going to be in control. You know, John Adams once told his son, John Quincy, when John Quincy was a little boy, he was just a kid, you know, and he's like, why do I have to go to Moscow? Why are you sending me away to Moscow to work under them for the country, for America's interest? He goes, because if good people don't do these jobs, then lesser men will. Okay? And that was the attitude. That's what built this country. That's what built America. And that attitude is what builds all empires throughout history. And we don't have that thinking anymore. We're living off the fat of the land. And this is modern day Rome all over again. So. Yeah, well, you know, trust the experts. Yeah, well, the problem is that we've gone too far to the other side now. They went too far. They've lied to us so much and tricked us so much that now we don't trust anybody. We don't trust any medical person. We don't trust any politician. We don't trust anybody. And now we've gone too far because there are people that we can trust, but we may not trust them because they went too far. The other people went too far. So we're a group of extreme emotions, extreme judgments over and over again, and there's no balance. There's no moderation. So, any chance we can bring back gladiator games before the empire falls, said the Court King. I think the closest we'll get for that is UFC probably, right? Oh, wait, no. Russia. So Russia has fighting in a phone booth. So they put two guys in an old phone, you know, the little phone booths, you know, like Superman, Clark Kent comes out of, right, as Superman. So they put them in there, Doctor Who, exactly, Doctor Who phone booth. And they put two guys in there and they just fight. You know, maybe that's our new gladiator games. So. But my main point is the only way to fix this is accountability. People have to be held accountable now for what they do and the evils that they do and the corruption that they do. And if you don't have that, you have nothing. So, and if there's no accountability, you don't have freedom. You don't have free society. That's the only thing. You have to have a clear view as a group. You have to have a clear view of what is good, what is bad, okay? And those lines shouldn't be crossed. And if they are crossed, there should be punishment for that. The lines have been blurred so much between who is corrupt and who isn't, who's a liar and who isn't. And there was a time where it was more obvious. Yes, slut fighting. Help of courage. Help of courage, that's funny. Okay. That's so funny. If my dad is watching, I don't know if he's on here tonight, but if my dad is watching, look at this comment that he just posted. Help of courage says, you could be a preacher, VonAllen. So, that's funny, Help of Courage, because last night and before I left in Phoenix, me and my dad were talking, and you know, it was me and my dad and my sister-in-law, Felicia, and we were talking and about attributes of preaching and things like that, and that was brought up. So that's funny that you mentioned that. And what's sad, honestly, Alpha Courage, what's sad is that I don't fit the criteria of a preacher as far as my to my life and the way my life is lived. I wouldn't qualify by the official rules if you go by the Bible and things like that. But it wouldn't make a difference. I could do it anyway, you know, and I could trick people, and I could steal from them and get away with whatever I wanted. But I would never do that unless I felt like it was the right thing to do. I would have to feel that way to do it. And it goes back to, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Okay? Just because you can be a politician doesn't mean you should. You need to kind of look at why you're doing that, you know? Or that's kind of how it should be and how you should think about yourself. But I will tell you this, Alpha Courage, I think it would be a very interesting job. I think it would be, and I say job, it shouldn't be called that. It shouldn't be treated like that. But I guess it is a job, you know? But it would be very interesting. I'm very interested in religion. I'm very interested in all that. And I love talking to people and going down these philosophical paths and these different avenues of how things are and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. So VonAllen Osteen taking the people's money. That's right. Come on, man. I would not be a good. There's different types of preachers, but what Gord King's talking about is Osteen. But I wouldn't be good at being that type because half the time I forget to tell you guys that I have shirts available for sale, and it's like I completely forget that I'm supposed to be, you know, doing that stuff. And yeah, so I would fail at the tele-evangelist thing. I know that. God tells you to give me money. God told you to send me $100 super chat, and if you don't, you go into hell. You know, I mean, there's like people, I've seen people do that. All right, Israel sends a $2 super chat. He says, "Imagine Tom Brady if he was running for president of the United States." Oh, that'd be awesome. You know, he does have an interest in politics. He does, actually. So, oh yeah, let me tell you guys who won. Okay, so week 16, Nightly Sinister had Dak Prescott versus Elf of Courage, who had Joe Burrow. Your statistic was completions. Elf of Courage wins that one. Burrow had 40. Nightly Sinisters, Prescott had 27. Congratulations, Elf of Courage. You're going to the Roman Empire finals, but not the actual finals. So you're going to the finals of your side. Okay? Anthony Preston versus Diane Tincher. Anthony Preston had Tua. Again, they had their stat was completions. Tua had 16 for Anthony Preston. Diane Tincher had Brady with 32. Congratulations, Diane Tincher. You are going to the next round. Brad Gold on the Byzantium side. Brad Gold had Tua. John Thomas Chavez had Patrick Mahomes. Brad Gold's Tua, your stat was yards. Tua had 310 total yards. And John Thomas Chavez's Mahomes had 232. So Brad Gold, you win, and you are going to the next round. The Gord King versus Mastermind. Gord King had Tom Brady with 32 completions. The completions was the stat. Dak Prescott had 27. So Gord King wins the game. And of course, Gord King made it known to me on Twitter that if it wasn't for Tom going into overtime, he might not have won that. So, of course, he told me with a wrestler running around a ring celebrating and knocking over some idiot. So that was pretty funny. But congratulations, you guys. You are the final four in the tournament. So. Gord King says, I've never seen this Diane Tincher. How do we know she's real? How do we know this isn't a VS burner account? The fix is in. Boom. I've never seen Diane. I've never seen seen her on video, or she's never called the show. I've seen a picture of her though. Her account has a photograph, or her YouTube account has a photograph. But she was here. She was in the chat a few weeks back, but I haven't seen her probably in 2 or 3 weeks. So she's been a member for a long time though. She got a membership, I guess, almost 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, Diane's a burner account. Well, remember this, Gord King. Anybody who wins has to have a real address and be a real person, and then they've got to show me that they've got it so I can post it for everybody that they got there. So I hope she's a real person, because otherwise, what do we do, right? So that's true. I've never seen Elf of Courage. I can't prove that he's real. Yeah.
Back, maybe?
Huh?
He responds. He talks back.
Well, so does Diane.
Yeah.
She's just not on every show. So. She didn't even pick this quarterback. I had to roll the dice for her. So I wonder if she even knows that she's doing good. All right, guys. I'm just going to get off here. It's getting been on for a while. Unless there's anything else I missed that I needed to talk about. Hang on just a second, guys. Let me look up something real fast.
The Bengals host the Bills on Monday Night.
Okay, Milena, there are no games on Saturday, so why are we doing the show on Friday?
Isn't Saturday New Year's?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So.
I've seen it before. The day before.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we are having a New Year's party here at our place, and I forgot about it. So, oh yeah, so that's Saturday. Okay, so Friday, guys, the show, the standard show, the VAS live show will be Saturday, Friday. Okay, don't forget, 8:30. So I've been moving the shows back 30 minutes because it's just been too hard. I've been late constantly. The reason I'm late is because the schedule for us, it doesn't work, and I'm only, by the time I'm ready to do the show and I can get to do the show, I've got just like no time. And so that extra 30 minutes is perfect. It gives me time to set everything up. I know that's kind of late for some of you guys, especially on Tuesdays, but it's either that or I'm just late all the time, and that looks really bad, and I don't like that. So Thursday, tomorrow night, since we won't be talking until after this game, so we've got the Cowboys versus Titans. The Titans, have you seen their injury list? It's bad. Okay? It's bad. Like, everybody is out. And even now they're talking that Derrick Henry might not play. So if Dallas can't take that, but there's really nothing Dallas can do, unfortunately. At this point. That's what I don't like about the division thing and why they go by that and that overrides record. I think that's absolutely stupid. Think about this. Somebody from the NFC South is going to be ranked 4th. It's going to have a seed higher than Dallas, and Dallas is going to have to play on the road against somebody. How dumb is that? Okay, so the Eagles are 13-2. If they were to lose both games, that would make them 13-4. And the Cowboys, if they won both games, the Cowboys have the DC Lizard People next week, and the Eagles have the Giants. So Israel, what is the record between the head-to-head record between Dallas and Philadelphia? Dallas actually could still win the division, maybe. So, what's the head-to-head? Did Philadelphia go 2-0 on them? It's 1-1. Okay, so guys, it would come down to division record as the tiebreaker. So, and then if that's okay, then it's the conference record or I can't remember what comes first, common opponents or division record. But anyway, so it's possible, right? It's possible. So actually I could figure it out right now. Let's see if this game matters to Dallas or not. Or at least let's see if one of the two games. So let's say they beat the Titans. That game don't matter. That one don't matter. Okay. Here, I'll just let you see it while I'm doing it. I'm just going through these real quick. These are not official picks. I'm just trying to figure out a scenario. Let's say the Giants win that, and Eagles lose. The Eagles will have to lose. Okay, so far that would put Dallas as the 5th seed, so nothing changes there. Okay, so we go to week 18. Yeah, no. Okay, now let's say the Eagles lose. That's the scenario. Or Dallas has got to win that one. It's possible. Wow. But here's a problem. San Francisco San Francisco can be 13-4, and they can come in and take it from Dallas, and Dallas would be second, and that would drop Philadelphia all the way to fifth. That's interesting. So now San Francisco is a problem. They've got the Raiders, and it seems like no matter what happens, if the 49ers win their games, they're going to end 13-4. San Francisco is going to win. They're going to beat Las Vegas, and they're going to beat the Cardinals. I didn't anticipate that one. I didn't see that one coming. Okay. So somehow San Francisco has popped up and decided to mess everything up for Dallas and Philadelphia. That's if Philadelphia loses both their games. Okay, so the point here is that Dallas needs this game. They need this game. They don't need to lose it. So that's fascinating, though. I didn't expect the San Francisco situation to pop up. For some reason, I thought they had one more loss than that. I thought they had 5 losses for some reason, but okay. Weird. All right. So, yeah, there you go, Israel. But I think they're good. I think they're going to beat the Titans, and I think they can beat the DC Lizard people. As far as Philadelphia goes, Philadelphia would have to I don't know, implode a bit. But seeing how I don't think that Jalen Hurts is the formula behind Philadelphia, I think that I think Tua could have this success right now. I think a few other guys could. I think it's just Philadelphia's got a very good coach and a very good formula and a very good system in place to do what they do correctly. But I'm not knocking Jalen. I'm not saying he sucks or anything, but the guy's going to be a backup somewhere in 4 or 5 years. So you can quote me on that if you want. You can keep that in the history books. So it's that's the deal. So. Yeah, well, Philly has to lose both games for that to work, though. For that scenario, so they're in a good position. But you never know. If I was Dallas, I would just keep winning. I would just, because it's momentum. What I mean is, don't get cute and think that you can sit players and all that stuff. That's a bad idea. Momentum is everything in football. Okay, the Giants won 2 Super Bowls off momentum at the end of the season, and hell, the Bucs did that in 2020. So it's important. It's important to be hot at the right time. The 2007 Patriots, they were actually getting worse as the season went on. By the end of the season, they were not impressive at all. So that's important. So Dallas needs to keep playing. I don't care what the scenario is. I don't care if it ends up to where they can't get any better than 5th. Okay, and if that means if the Eagles stay in number 1, then they can't. But it doesn't matter. They've got to just keep playing their football, and because they've got a lot of improvement left. They are certainly not. Dallas is certainly not the team that I said is a complete team right now and is just making things happen. They're not that. They make a lot of mistakes. They do a lot of weird stuff. They've got to get that worked out. So beat Tennessee, beat the Lizard people, and let what happens happen, because at least you'll still be, and then you'll come in and be a good team, be ready to play. So and they'll be ready to completely annihilate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So there you go. Gord King says, what if Jalen buys a VAS t-shirt and sends an offering to your ministry, a super chat? Well, now I might change my approach because that's the age we're living in. See? You know? Remember when Fauci said that masks don't work? And then all of a sudden, Pfizer paid him, sent him some money, and all of a sudden he was saying, oh, you can wear 2 or 3 masks. That's the world we're living in. So yeah, if Jalen sends me some money, then yeah, I'll preach the gospel for Jalen. There you go. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a good night. Sorry about all the complications tonight. Don't know what the hell's going on, but it's annoying. But thank you so much. Okay? Have a good night, guys. I will see you. I'll see you when I see you. When's that? When I see you. But actually, it will be Friday. So that's when I'll see you. Okay. Good night, guys.
This is Patriots linebacker, Super Bowl 49 champ, Darius Fleming, and you're watching VonAllen Sports. Real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now. Join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go!
VonAllen Sports.